My 7-year-old got suspended for the best reason ever. The principal called me at work on a Friday. There's been a major incident with Bonnet and Ms. Bridges today. Please come in immediately. Of course it's Ms. Bridges again, I thought. I'd already filed 5 complaints about her, but the principal's voice had that tone administrators use when they're already decided who's at fault. I left my meeting and drove to Jefferson Elementary. When I arrived, Mr. Davidson was outside the main office with his arms crossed. This is completely unacceptable. Bonnet verbally assaulted Ms. Bridges during a test. She called her stupid and mean in front of 22 students. My eyes went wide. Bonnet has never once talked back to Ms. Bridges. Not when Ms. Bridges removed Bonnet's aid during tests. Not when she mocked Bond's anxiety disorder. Not even when she held up Bonnet's failed tests to humiliate her to the whole class. Mr. Davidson walked me toward his office, shaking his head. Mrs. Bridges left the classroom in tears with how everyone laughed at her. We're looking at a 3-day suspension. I'm also recommending a behavioral evaluation. Inside the office, Mrs. Bridges sat in a leather chair, wiping her cheeks with Kleenex tissues. Her makeup was smeared. Across from her, in a chair too big for her small frame, sat my daughter. Her face had that smirk that said, "Hell yeah, I did that." I couldn't help but crack a sly smile. Bonnet needs to apologize immediately, Mr. Davidson started, settling behind his desk. Mr. Bridges nodded, still dabbing her cheeks. She's been defiant all year. Today was the last straw. She had another one of her attention-seeking outbursts. Attention-seeking. That's what she called it when Bonnet hyperventilated without her aid. When she vomited from anxiety while being forced to sit through tests she couldn't complete. Maybe mainstream education isn't the right fit, the principal added, pulling out forms. We have excellent alternative programs. Bonnet, I interrupted. Can you please tell me what happened? Mrs. Bridges shifted in her chair, a flicker of something crossing her face. I'm telling you what happened. I asked my daughter, not you. Bonbon, will you please tell me what happened? Bonnet looked directly at her teacher, then back at me. She removed my aid again, but then she did something else. I urged her to continue. Ms. Bridges wouldn't let Joseph go to the bathroom, Bonnet said. She's making things up again. Ms. Bridges started, but I interrupted her again. Don't mind her, Bon. Continue. Joseph was crying. He kept raising his hand. He said, "Please, Ms. Bridges, I really need to go." But she told him, "You're not special. Finish your test first. You should have gone before we started." Mr. Davidson's eyebrows furrowed. He turned slightly toward Mrs. Bridges. He has a thing where he can't go long without using the bathroom. Ms. Bridges knew this. Joseph had an accident, Bonnet said, her voice steady. In his chair. Pee went everywhere. On the floor. On his shoes. Down his legs. The room went quiet. Ms. Bridges' face had gone from indignant to defensive. Children need to learn boundaries. She made him sit in it, Bonnet said, for the whole test. 20 more minutes. She said, "Look, class, this is what happens when we don't follow rules." She said, "This is what Joseph chose to do instead of holding it like a big boy." Mr. Davidson's jaw had tightened. "Ms. A. Bridges, the child is exaggerating. She called him a baby," Bonnet continued. "Said maybe he needs diapers. Joseph was crying so hard he couldn't breathe. His legs were all red and burning. The smell was everywhere. Kids were gagging." Ms. Bridges' face was flushed with embarrassment. She had no words. "Is that when you called her stupid bonbon?" I asked her. "Number. Because when Joseph's test paper got ruined because of his tears, Ms. Bridges loudly said there are now 2 babies in the classroom. Me and Joseph." I was staring daggers through Ms. Bridges. So I stood up and said, "You're stupid. You're mean. You're a bully." And I helped Joseph, walked him to the bathroom. The other kids started telling Ms. Bridges that was mean. Then she ran out crying. Mr. Davidson was flush white. He turned to the teacher. "Is this true?" She stayed silent. "Oh, you're pleading the fifth, huh?" he retorted at her. He started pulling up his laptop. "Good thing we have cameras in all classrooms for safety." Ms. Bridges went white. "That's not necessary." "I think it is," he said coldly, turning the screen so we could all see. He fast-forwarded to the incident. There was Joseph, clearly in distress. Ms. Bridges pointed at him to put his hand down. We watched the accident, her making him sit in it, gestured to the class to look at him, even pointing at laughing at him. Mr. Davidson closed the laptop slowly. "Mrs. Bridges, my office, tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. She was so shaken she was tearing up again by this point. "Go home, now." She gathered her things with shaking hands, unable to look at anyone as she left. Mr. Davidson turned to me. "I'm removing the suspension immediately. I apologize." That Monday, our special needs assistant took over as substitute teacher. Bonnet left for school ecstatic, but when I went to pick her up later, the substitute teacher pulled me aside. "I heard Ms. Bridges is being reinstated this week. Earlier today I found something in her drawer. I think she forgot to clear it out. Look." I took one clear look and instantly realized I had to rush inside myself. Full story on channel.